All right, welcome back. Today, I'm going to do a follow up on my 10 best places to live in Portugal with someone else's perspective. And they come from a totally different part of the world. They're from North America, as the previous lady was European slash Canadian. So I think it's important to get multiple perspectives from different people because what someone likes, someone isn't going to like, and vice versa. So let's get into it. See what they recommend.
Hi, I'm Terry Coles, a frequent contributor to International Living, and today I'm coming to you from my home in Tavira, Portugal. Portugal is one of the most popular expat destinations for North American retirees, and for good reason. The visa process is easy. We boast over 300 days of sunshine a year, depending on where you're settled in the country. There's a large expat network, excellent.
Okay, so she's reading a pre-prepared speech. So we'll just skip a little bit of this and get into the property.
5 places to live in Portugal and 2 places that you might wish to avoid. Now, I knew when I wrote this article that there would be people out there not happy about the choices that I said to avoid, but I'm going to explain why. Lisbon, vibrant capital of Portugal, is loved by so many people. It's not a cheap place to live, it is rather expensive, but if big city living is your choice, then that might be for you. It has a lot to it. It's impressive. It has the castles, the yellow cable cars that climb the narrow streets. There's over 60 museums. There's an English-speaking theater, friendly family beaches, varied cuisine, and plenty of expats from around the world to hang out with. Lisbon combines old world charm with all the modern conveniences needed to feel at home, and some of the best weather in Europe. You'll never be bored living in Lisbon. And the nearby beaches of Cascais, a fairy tale village of Sintra, along with an international airport close by for easy access to the rest of the world. Since it's a big city, Lisbon has some of the best hospitals in the country, and often people have to go there or Coimbra or some of the other big cities to find what they want. The next place we're going to talk about is Porto in the north. Portugal.
Okay, so Lisbon, I mean, if you've watched a few of my videos already, you'll already know that it is pretty expensive. It's a big city. Like if you're living in Sydney or Melbourne and you're in the inner city, you're paying for that basically. And obviously, traffic is going to be the same. So it really depends on what you're looking to get out of this move. I personally am not sure why you would move from a Sydney or Melbourne to Lisbon other than for work or you're wanting access to the rest of Europe and potentially to America and a little bit more convenient travel wise. But I'm just not sure why you would do that. But each to their own.
Portugal's second city is considered Porto. It's about 3 hours north of Lisbon. It's situated on the Douro River, and this is the beautiful port wine-making region of the country. It's rich in culture and history, and this is another part of Portugal where English is commonly spoken. From great shopping along the Rua Catarina to local cuisine, excellent healthcare, a large expat community, and a cooler climate, this could be the perfect place to call home. Plus, Porto has one of the country's 3 international airports, making it easy for friends and family back home to come.
Okay, so Porto is probably got a little bit more picturesque than Lisbon is in terms of seeing European architecture. Lisbon's a lot more of it's got more of that standard big city type vibe to it where you could just transport yourself to whichever capital city in the world, and it's just very similar in the way it's made up with the big buildings and stuff, whereas Porto is a lot more of the old world architecture still being done up, I guess. But you get good value housing around Porto, but in a city, same as Lisbon, it's going to start getting expensive. It's not as expensive as Lisbon, but it's getting there.
Visit. That's a nice thing about Portugal. There's an airport up in the north, in Porto, there's one in Lisbon in the center, and there's one in the Algarve. When people ask me about a scouting trip, I say, if you have time, fly into one and fly out of the other. And there's plenty to see along the way. Rent a car and explore every nook and cranny of the country. The next place I want to talk about is not just one city, but it's an area called the Silver Coast. This is where we lived for our first 2 years here in the city of Caldas da Rainha. 1 hour north of Lisbon is the mid-sized city of Caldas da Rainha, which is built around a thermal hospital, one of the oldest in the world. The lively old town features a daily fruit and vegetable market. Nearby there's a fish market, and there's a weekly flea market just up the hill that sells just about everything. This is not a touristy market, it's where the locals go to find all the best bargains. It's a compact city with plenty of shopping, from large grocery stores. There's a modern, multi-level shopping center, a variety of cuisine, a handful of museums, a beautiful park where locals and expats go to hang out, enjoy the walking trails, grab a bite to eat at the restaurant, or paddle a boat across the man-made little lake. Caldas, as it's commonly called, is a large expat community, along with a public and private hospital, plus clinics for your healthcare needs. The nearby beaches of Foz and Douro provide a welcome break on a hot summer day. The lagoon of Foz offers a safe place for those of all ages to enjoy tranquil waters or relax with friends at a waterfront cafe. Summer temperatures here are more spring-like, while winters are cold and rainy.
Okay, so just being slightly north of Lisbon, it's not a bad spot. You've got that whole coast in the middle of Portugal between Lisbon and Porto. Very, very popular with expats. You can find good value housing all along that part of the coast. It really depends, though. Obviously, being near the beaches, you're going to get a lot more tourist traffic. And again, that really depends on what you're looking for in your Portugal move. Do I recommend going to these places? I mean, if you can find a good value property and it's the style, the lifestyle that you're after, 100%. You've got to be happy in it. I don't have to be happy in what you want to do. So, it's kind of what you like. This is, again, do your research around what you're looking for. And this is why it's important to get as many different perspectives as possible. Look, the beaches look really good. It's good for what it is. I don't know what the property prices in that area is. You'll be able to find good property websites, and yeah, it pays to have a good look. And I would almost 100% advise people to come to Portugal first. Don't just buy sight unseen, but come to Portugal, do your research on the different areas. And if ultimately you're needing to move before you can come to Portugal the first time, find a rental apartment or purchase a cheap apartment in Porto or Lisbon first, that that it's only a temporary situation, and that way you can look over the amount of time that you want to look for. So that would be my recommendation.
Another place we're going to talk about is Lagos, and that's the way it's pronounced. It's not the way it's written. A few hours south of Lisbon is the Algarve region, with some of the warmest weather in the country, and actually some of the best weather in all of Europe.
Okay, we kind of covered the Algarve in the last episode, and yeah, it's a heavy tourist district. It's where all the Europeans come during their cold winters, and it's where everyone comes during summer. All the Portuguese go there during summer. So definitely, if you need to really weigh it up, what you're looking to get out of this move. Obviously, the Algarve is probably the closest you will get to an Australian summer. It's on the Mediterranean. It'll be probably that, almost that northern Queensland style type situation. I don't live down there, so I couldn't tell you exactly what their weather patterns are like, but it'd be a little bit more of getting towards that tropical climate, probably without getting to a tropical climate type situation. But it would be definitely good weather majority of the year round.
The town of Lagos has retained much of its charm with its tiled plaza in the old town and remnants of a fort.
So you can already see right here how busy the beach is, and you can only imagine, like, is that in peak? What time of year is that? Is that when all the tourists are there, or is that we're still waiting for the tourists to get there?
Perched along the waterfront. The coastline offers spectacular vistas of grottos, rock formations, and caves that can be explored by hiring a boat. There's no need to stress about learning Portuguese in Lagos because British holidaymakers have long visited the Algarve, so English is widely spoken by most everyone. We currently live in Tavira, and it's really almost a detriment because all of the locals want to speak English too, and they all say, no, you don't need to learn Portuguese. But that's not to say we have not been in situations when our Portuguese was not good enough and we did have problems.
So you're going to come across that. Not everyone is going to speak English. So my general rule of thumb is if you're leaving a tourist district, you're going to need to have access to some Portuguese. Now, you can use Google Translate, things like that, and that'll help you get through those situations. But once you start getting into rural villages and stuff, majority of the older people probably won't speak much English at all. They might understand little bits here and there, but they're friendly. You'll get around it easy enough.
But back to Lagos, summers here are hot and dry, while the winters are mild with some rain. Local shops and restaurants dot the old town, while larger grocery stores can be found nearby. Excellent healthcare is never far away with plenty of expats, and you'll never be lonely. Next, let's talk about Tavira, which is on the opposite end of the Algarve near the Spanish border. This is where we currently live. This is our third location in Portugal because we're renting. Makes it easy to move around if we're not happy. But we're loving Tavira, so I think we're here to stay. Nice thing about Tavira is we can hop over the Spanish border in about 20 minutes with our car.
I can do that in the northern Portugal area as well, as so can anyone along the eastern border of Portugal. You can drop over the border into Spain, easy enough. I am an hour and a half from Vigo, which, by the way, is a fantastic Spanish town to visit. I can't recommend it enough. I love it there. It's kind of like a hidden gem because the only people that ever go there are off cruise ships because it's so out of the way and hard to get to as a European city goes. So definitely, if you ever are able to head to Vigo, definitely you'll love it. I'm trying to sell Portugal here, but talking about Vigo, go figure.
We have the best of both worlds. Another popular Algarve hotspot is Tavira, located close to the Spanish border. Tavira has retained much of its old town, with whitewashed houses decorated with colorful Portuguese style called azulejos.
Okay, so she's got more of a bias towards the south of Portugal, where older people, not necessarily all older people, but it's a North American thing. I go getting off the TV, flock towards the warmer areas like Florida. They do in America with Florida and Southern California, all those sort of things. I could be wrong. Don't have a go at me. All right. With Australian point of view, though, I think you really got to, you got to think about how your dollar is going to go and whether you're going to be happy with your lifestyle. And there is a lot to do, obviously, in the Algarve because beach seaside living, but you're going to get that all up the Atlantic coast as well. It's a little bit colder in winter, I'm not going to lie, but I mean, if you're in Australia, you're not exactly looking to go swimming in the middle of winter anyway. So it's again like if you're looking for that style where you want summer 70% of the time, well, then south of Portugal is probably a good location for you to really have a look at. If you're looking for a bit more of a balance, and it is good weather up in northern Portugal, but it's a bit more balanced. You're going to get the cold winters, nice spring days, and you're going to get hot summers from time to time, but it's kind of a bit more subdued, where a good summer stays in the around 30, low 30s.
Handful of restaurants line the cobbled lanes along with grocery stores. Life in Tavira is as slow as the Galao River that runs through it. Stroll along the old Roman bridge to admire the village or relax on a nearby sun-drenched beach. And Tavira tends to get a few less tourists because the beaches are only accessed by a short ferry ride to Tavira Island, so the tourists are more out of town than in. Tavira has many expats from North America and Europe who have long called Tavira home. It makes it easy to fit in and get by speaking only English. Like the rest of the Algarve here,
by the way, Portugal has very good fishing because I don't know what it is, but the locals don't seem to be as into it as much as Australians are into it. I've gone past many rivers and you see fish this big, and I'm not kidding, like this is probably small, and probably they're bigger, and you just don't really see the locals fishing, whereas in Australia it would be caked all over the rocks everywhere. So it's an interesting observation that I've made.
You'll find some of the best weather in the country and all of Europe. Local shops tend to cater to a British population, but Americans, you only drive a few hours into Seville, Spain, to stock up on American goods at a Costco warehouse, similar to what you're used to in the US. Okay, now let's have a look at a few places where settling in as an expat may not be so easy.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting. I haven't seen a places to avoid video yet, so I'm curious to see what she says and the reasons for it are.
And perhaps should be avoided. Now keep in mind that Portugal is one of the safest countries in the entire world, so there's absolutely no place here that is not safe to live. But I had to pick two places, so I came up with these two. The first one is Monsanto. Now, this is one of the most picturesque places in the country, and I loved visiting there. It's one of Portugal's famous schist villages. And schist is a type of flat rock that older homes are made of, and there's many of these schist villages throughout the country. Monsanto is one of the famous ones. But there's nothing there as far as hospital, grocery stores, or expats. So it's a place you just want to go visit and not live. And that's why I put it in here.
Okay, so I mean, they're excellent reasons, to be honest. If you are moving to a new country, you want to make it comfortable at the start, because the last thing you want to be doing is in adjustment mode and having to deal with a medical emergency, and you're still not sure how to go about finding the necessary help. So my advice would be, again, start somewhere relatively easy, and then move into your ideal locations once you've done your homework, you're familiar with all your surroundings, and you're used to the lifestyle basically, and it's an easy adjustment for you.
So Monsanto is considered by many to be the most Portuguese village in the country. It's a quaint little village that can delight the senses, but it's not a place I'd recommend living. Granite homes are squeezed in, on, and around giant boulders that look like they fell from the sky. It almost looks like a meteor dropped out of the sky on top of these houses. It's so cute to look at. I can only imagine what they must look like on the inside.
Okay, so just another word of warning is those villages probably have very tight streets. I've seen similar places in Porto where they're built right up the side of the cliff, and like the streets are just narrow. So yeah, it can be frustrating if you're looking to transport goods to your house, and parking and accessibility might be issues.
But not a place you'd want to live. The steep, rustic lanes are wide enough only for a donkey to climb.
Oh, there you go. She mentions it.
It goes up 400 feet to the pinnacle of the village where there's remains of a castle and a great overlook of the area. There's a few local shops inside the cave-like structures where we heard no English spoken. And at times it felt like time had stopped and we had stepped back into another era.
Probably very good for getting a good cultural experience. It's a great place to visit.
While locals in Monsanto are used to seeing tourists, I doubt there's any expats living among them, and I doubt very much that any of the locals there speak English. The other place I suggested might not be great for every expat is the Alentejo, which is not a city or a town, it's an actual region in Portugal. Now I say this because the Alentejo is very rural. There's really not much there. The city of Évora is very historic and receives a lot of tourists, but other than that, the Alentejo in itself is farmland. The Alentejo is the area in southern Portugal. It's actually the largest region in the country, with vast plains that extend as far as the eye can see. Extreme temperatures of the north in the Alentejo, with summer highs reaching well over 100 Fahrenheit. In winters bring freezing, bone-chilling rains. This vast region of Portugal makes up 30% of all of Portugal, but its rural countryside is so sparsely populated that it only has 5% of the population there.
Great place to go if you don't like people, by the sounds of it. All right, my thoughts. I mean, it depends on what you wanting to get out of it. Like the previous place, you probably don't want to move to an area like that straight off the bat, because obviously you got the settling in period, which realistically I'm 2 years into this trip and I'm still settling into everything, still finding new things to deal with, so you want to do it properly, you want to do it slowly. I know if you're retiring here, you could probably be in a bit more of a rush, but obviously if you're a little bit younger and you can afford to take more time with your decisions, definitely do it. And I would probably say aim to be in a very populous area with good access to all facilities, government agencies, everything like that straight away. That way you don't have to deal with as many headaches, and especially you don't have to deal with travel if you have to for an unforeseen emergency. Let's just finish off this video and see what she says.
The Alentejo is home to walled cities, ports, a few sleepy villages, and cities like Beja and Évora. This is the heartland of Portugal.
It's funny, I've actually seen other people recommend Beja. So take it for what it is. It's one person's opinion. Don't make a mistake and go, well, they said don't go there, so I'm not even going to look. Look to see your lifestyle and budget and how that fits and what the facilities are actually around that place. So use tools if you're not familiar. This is a free plug, but I love Chat GPT. It actually has allowed me to find out a lot of information very quickly. So it scours the internet for you. So it might actually make doing a little bit of research just a tiny bit easier. And what I do recommend, though, is don't take Chat GPT's word for it. What you do is you do your research on it, then look at where they got that information from, then go and Google that information again and make sure it's accurate, because I've used it to find jobs, and it turns out those jobs are a fraction old. So it's not going to be 100% accurate. It's still learning, but it can help narrow down that search and help make it a fraction easier for you.
Few expats call the Alentejo home, although there are some there. I have seen them mention it on the Facebook groups. So in order to integrate and live here, this would be full immersion into a Portuguese lifestyle, and you'd really have to have a good understanding of the Portuguese language. For a holiday, the Alentejo is the ideal spot to escape the tourist crowds, step back in time, and experience the rich culture. However, the vastness of this region will make it challenging for expats to meet, get adequate health care, or find the necessities required for everyday life. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.
Okay, I think she lives near a train line. All right. That's probably one of the better videos I've seen for going into a little bit of detail. Yes, she was reading a pre-prepared script, but she only concentrated on a few particular cities in that time, where I've seen a lot of people try and shove 10 cities into that same amount of space, and they don't really go into any detail. And said these videos are great to explore, just to get an idea on different regions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I will try and respond where I can. Please like the video, it does help, and definitely subscribe. It does help the channel. Okay, have a great day. I will see you next time.